Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. Who exactly is Mark Cooper? Where did Celtic find him from and how is he such an important person that is now being employed by Celtic? It's been suggested that he's been employed on a salary of about $3,000 a week as a talent scout. The man that is going to take us forward, the man that is going to revamp the scouting setup at Celtic, but he is not new to Celtic. He is not new to Celtic, and I'm going to show you the evidence that he's been doing work with Celtic for some time. Previously based in South America, Cooper went on to work with the MLS, and he's now been brought back to Glasgow in a full-time role. He's highly rated by Brendan Rodgers, and he's been set the task of improving the first-team recruitment situation, targeting players, obviously between the ages of 19 and 23 to come to Celtic and improve the team so that we can then sell them on for a vast profit, is the Celtic model. It's a model that's been quite successful over the years when you look at bringing in the likes of Jota and selling him on for vast profits, and various other players that have been sold. And one, Jeremy Frimpong, that could be sold this summer for the best part of 50-odd million, which would give Celtic an even healthier little kickback from the clause that was put into the contract. Anyway, who exactly is Mark Cooper? The exclusive has been broken by one of the bigger rags out there, but the first thing that I noticed is he has been linked with Celtic before, and this is a story going back a year ago. Why South America could be Celtic's next value for money market. Well, we brought in Bernabei, and that didn't work out too good, didn't it? And we've not had a really successful time bringing in South Americans, really, because I mean I can think as far back as Rafael Shadid, and anyone that's of an age remembers Rafael. Fucking Jesus, come on. He was brought in as a great defender. He had one fantastic game during pre-season, and then he was like his name, shite. He was like his name. But Mark Cooper has worked with the City Football Group. And there you have it. He does not. Has a role with the City Football Group, which means he comes under the same thing as Peter Lawwell's son, Mark Lawwell. It's not nothing new at Celtic, is it? It's quite disappointing that they've went down that road again. Obviously, they've done a lot of work with the City Football Group over the years, but it was the City Football Group that brought us Alexandro Bernabei. That was meant to come in and take Greg Taylor's position and was coming for some money, but now he's back in Brazil. So I'm not going to get over excited. And then there was the Uruguayan Diego that we loaned from AC Milan. Diego Laxalt, remember him? And then if you think back, there was Juninho, who was a marquee signing for the outgoing Henrik Larsson. Well, remember him? Jesus. And then we go back to 1999, and there's obviously Rafael Shahid. Anyway, Kenny Dalglish brought him in. The biggest ever flop, according to some people. He was brought in at 4.8 million at the time. He was on 20 grand a week. And for a club back in 1999 to pay 20 grand a week for a player, he only made 2 or 3 appearances. Anyway, the fact that Mark Cooper has been with the City Football Group, and he's worked all over South America with Arsenal and Chelsea and Everton, even Norwich. Mark Cooper has been linked to Celtic before. He has been linked with them over a year ago. And he does believe that there's still plenty of value in the South American market. Oh, I could kind of see where there is, because there's a lot of South American players come to play in Spain, and they're not too shabby. But then there's another story. I mean, you even go into Reddit. Mark Cooper scouted South American works with Celtic, claims the club had a $4 million deal agreed last summer for Vasco player Andre Santos. Celtic pulled the deal, saying the player wasn't tall enough, and signed Oliver Abelgard instead. Yeah. So it's not a new name. It isn't a new name. I'd love to say that it was a new dawn for Celtic, but it's not really is it? It's not a new dawn. He is someone that has been linked to Celtic for a while. He has done some work with Celtic. Brendan Rodgers likes him. Is he the man to turn our fortunes around in the South American market and bring us in some real gems from South America? Well, there's one thing. The Asia project is getting shown for what it's worth, because I mean there's players that came in under Ange Postecoglou that are now out on loan and now deemed not good enough. I mean, Ange did well for quite a few players in the first team that are still first team regulars, but Ange did bring in some wash also, didn't he? Are you excited about this new guy, Mark Cooper, coming into Celtic? Tell me what you think in the comments. The fact that there's not a lot of data on him, but the fact that he has been linked with Celtic before, it's nothing new. Doesn't get me overly excited. I wanted us to go in and bring someone in that could maybe change things up a bit. But you never know. He might be a breath of fresh air. The fact that he's worked in America, he's worked in South America, and he's worked with some of the biggest clubs in the English Premiership may be good for Celtic in one way. But there is news this morning that Celtic have placed the Motherwell goalkeeper, Liam Kelly, on a list of summer transfer targets. He's obviously going to come in as a third choice goalkeeper. He's not coming in as number one, I wouldn't have thought. He's obviously going to come in as third choice goalkeeper for the outgoing Benji Siegrist. Now, the only good thing about Kelly coming to Celtic is he would make up the Scottish contingent. So I can see where it's coming from, but he did play for Rangers in his earlier career before he went to Livingston and QPR. There is interest from down south for him, but Brendan Rodgers, it's not been ruled out that Brendan Rodgers may make a move for him. But he is I think he's out of contract this summer. That would be the Celtic way, wouldn't it? They go and get the Motherwell goalkeeper to come in and spend no money. You can just see the summer happening already, and Celtic fans going into another season absolutely disappointed with the board and have no ambition whatsoever. And let's hope that, I mean, we need to go out and get a decent keeper. We know that. We need a keeper that can be of the same stature as the outgoing man that is in the goals, although he does have some moments. We need someone that can command the box. Is the guy from Motherwell, that guy. Celtic have hired South American talent spotter in a revamp of the scout setup. Head of recruitment, Mark Lowell, the son of chairman Peter Lowell, and chief scout Joe Dudgeon. They both came into the club just recently, but they left to pursue new challenges. That's a diplomatic way of saying they were shite and they were put in garden leave and told, look, these are fucking terrible. Look at the players you've brought in, and we've had to put them out on loan because they're absolute crap. Previously based in South America, obviously that Mark Cooper has. He's not even. I can't even find any information about him to say the type of players that he's actually brought. Anyway, there's going to be a complete backroom restructure this Celtic, obviously Celtic this summer. Celtic have confirmed that former B team coach Darren O'Dea and he is now the pathway manager. The pathway manager, helping develop the young players from the Celtic B team, get a pathway into the Celtic first team. So who's going to take over the Celtic B team? That's an interesting one that we've never really spoken about. Anyway, it's all in a day's work with Celtic, isn't it? Now, let it be said that after we had some good transfer windows under Ange Postecoglou, and obviously it was players that he wanted to bring in. The last transfer window, the players that came in was obviously Nico Kuhn and Adam Ida. Those two were meant to be, that was 2 players out of 7 that were brought to Celtic, and Brendan Rodgers says that 5 of them were absolute rubbish behind the scenes. And there was only 2 of them that he thought would make it at Celtic. And obviously Celtic are now going to pay the money for Adam Ida. It has been suggested that Mark Cooper already has a list of players that he has given to the manager at Celtic, Brendan Rodgers. So it'll be interesting to see what type of players he's offering Brendan and whether they'll make an immediate impact. So there's not going to be a lot of stories leaking just yet, I would think, with transfer targets. And really, when you think about it, we need to get back to bringing in the likes of the Jotas. I mean, I would even go as far as saying like an Aaron Moy type player. I mean, Aaron Moy was fantastic for Celtic towards the end of his career. He did decide to take retirement early. But when you look at the players that have come in, it's okay bringing in players 19 to 23, but they're going to have to be really special. They are going to have to be really special if we're still going to use the same format of bringing players in and selling them on, because that's obviously the objective, is to bring in these young guys from South America. I mean, when you look, we've got one just now that has ambitions to play in Spain, and he makes that more than obvious on his Instagram on a weekly basis. He has ambitions bigger than Celtic. He obviously wants to try and do well in the Champions League next year and try and get a move to a club in Spain as his ultimate goal. But Lewis Palmer, some people are saying it's just not Celtic standard. We need to be bringing in players that are Celtic standard, that will be good. We need to bring in players that are going to make some big money and that you're going to go, wow, a Jota type player, a Virgil van Dijk type player that when you first see them, you go, how the hell did we get him for the money that we did? And you know they're only going to be with us a couple of seasons. We can romance about, I mean, Ange Postecoglou said it once, don't get too attached to your stars. And as a football club, I think we're kind of spoiled over the years having the likes of Henrik Larsson at the club for so long. I mean, having Scott Brown staying at Celtic for so long. There is sometimes, and it happens sometimes, but not too often. I mean, you could even say Mikael Lustig. When Mikael Lustig first came to the club, he was absolutely wash. He was injured this first season. He was told he was going to, everyone was like, why have we bought him? But Mikael Lustig went on to be a fantastic player for Celtic. And he was our number 2 for a long time with Scott Brown, who he then went on to have a fantastic, and still does have a fantastic friendship with until this day. So don't get too attached to the players that are coming in this summer. There will be some names that we'll never have heard of. It's looking like the way that Celtic are going is going to try and hit this South American market. Let's face it, we've went to the Asia market. Has it been as successful as it could have been? Especially when you look at O, that is just that far out the team now. It does suggest that there will be players leaving. The squad already, I mean, we brought in 9 players last summer. We didn't need 9 players last summer. So there will be players that will leave Celtic this summer, whether it be on loan or they're just told to go and find new clubs. It's as simple as that. If we do bring in another defender, what does it say for Gustav Lagerbielke, who will probably leave the club this summer? What does it say for Big Rocky? I don't know. Does he have a future at the club also? Does he have a future as a backup? Is he willing to stay at £4 million? And when you've been playing regular football, it's going to take some kind of player that's willing to accept playing second fiddle week in, week out. So it's going to be an interesting summer for Celtic. I'm not too over enamoured with the guy that's coming in. The fact that it's down the same old route that Celtic have went. Down the City Football Group. We brought Mark Lawwell in from the City Football Group, and look how that turned out. It wasn't overly spectacular. And when people will say, yeah, he was only brought in because of his dad, he was brought in because he worked with Ange before. And he was able to pick out some fantastic players for Ange in his previous roles. It's going to be one of those weeks. I always knew that there'd be one story that would come out this week where we'd just go, really, Celtic this week, that this information has to come out this week. But you never know. It might give us a boost. And it might give the players that are here a kick up the backside, knowing that there is a new head of recruitment coming in, which means there'll be new players, which means the players at Celtic just now will have to up their game once again, just like the one and only Greg Taylor did when Ange Postecoglou came into Celtic. Everyone said, get Taylor out. He's not Celtic. He's not Celtic. He's not Celtic. And he's still here, proving the doubters wrong. And on that note, have a fantastic day. Celtic fans. Oh, my throat just went there. Have a fantastic day, Celtic fans all around the world.